Okay, hi everyone. I hope this video finds you well. So today we are going to talk about streams and comments. So in this exercise, we are going to learn about adding comments to your code. And this is a text that does not get compiled that describes the code to help programmers understand it. Then we are going to try input streams, getting input from the user. Then output streams, sending output to the screen. It's similar to printf or cout from the last time. Okay, so we will create a program that gets the username from the keyboard, then prints hello to that person. As simple as that. So it will look something like this. You give your name, then the program says hello to your name. And that's it. Let's first start with comments because it's important that you know about comments. So a comment is a line or multiple lines of text that are inserted into the source code to explain what the code is doing. So in C++, we have two kinds of comments. The single line comment, which is started with 2 forward slashes. This is telling the compiler to ignore anything after those two, anything I write after those 2 forward slashes. The multi-line comment is whatever you write between the forward slash asterisk and the asterisk forward slash. Anything in between in here is ignored. It's like it's just a description for the reader, not for the compiler. So both will display the comments in green in Visual Studio, the IDE we are using. So a single line comment example. If you have printf or cout and you have a comment, 2 forward slashes and anything in here is ignored. Let me just show you how is that being done. So we have cout, which is printing to the console. Cout hello world. Now we can write comments like this is just a printing statement. Now if I do that, the compiler is ignoring this statement and is just showing me the hello world. Now in the example on the slides you have seen printf. Now you can use printf to do exactly the same thing the cout is doing, which is printing to the console. Printing to the console, but they have different syntax. When I say syntax, different styles. So this one is using printf and you have parentheses surrounding the text. And that one, if you want to see that one, cout and the 2 angle brackets, which called insertion operator. Now, in this example also you see using namespace std. Now, if you go to using namespace std, you don't find it in my program. Why? Because I didn't need it because I just used std to the 2 colons just in front of the cout, which is where it's needed. So if I remove that, now the cout is not going to be recognized. So using namespace std, now it's being recognized. It tells the system or the compiler that cout is from the standard library mentioned above, which is the IOStream. We're going to talk about this in details. Okay, so a multi-line comment is a comment that is surrounded by forward slash asterisk and ends with asterisk forward slash. So anything in between those two is going to be ignored. So going back, if I want multi-line comment, I start with forward slash asterisk and end it with asterisk forward slash. Anything I write in here is ignored. As you can see, the compiler is going to ignore this one and just prints hello world. So it's not part of your code, it's part of the code description. Okay, so Visual Studio allows you to select and comment out multiple lines. So for example, if I want to comment this one, I do that, I highlight this statement, and I go there to comment out. I commented out this one. Now, if I have multiple statements like this one, I can also comment out, and it's going to comment all these statements. Uncomment, here it is. Here is where you uncomment. And I need also to uncomment this one. Or you can manually, if you want it, you can manually delete those two forward slashes, and that is okay too. Now, this is comment and uncomment from the Visual Studio. So typically, comments should be used for three things. One, at a library or program or function level, comments are best used to describe what the library, the program, or the function does. So basically that is going to be at the top of the library, at the top of your program, at the top of your function. Actually, you have seen this before, but you didn't notice it. In here, at the top of your program, there is a description what is this file contains. So this file contains the main function, program execution begins and ends, blah, 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 and all these things. So you can write your own description. This is an exercise to learn how to get input from the user and send output to the screen. Something like that. Second, within the library, program, or function described above, comments can be used to describe how the code is going to accomplish its goal. So for example, in here, I'm saying, okay, for this statement, even though it's a little bit of a statement level comment, which is third, I'm going to explain what is this doing. For the main, I'm going to explain what is this doing, and so on. So at the statement level, comments should be used to describe why the code is doing something. It's like when we did this. This is a statement level. So you can change that with something meaningful or more meaningful, something like this is just to print hello world, something like that. So as a beginner, others may tell you not to put what the code does at a statement level, since it's usually a seasoned programmer will not do that and will already know what the code does, but feel free to ignore them. If you want to add comments to remind you what is being done, do so. As you mature as a programmer, you can stop doing this, but anything that helps you in coding, helps you remember what you have been doing, do it. So as a beginner, any comment that helps you is a good one. You can also comment out code so it does not run. So for example, if I'm printing a lot of statements like this one, let me just place these things with meaningful things. So for example, I'm going to print something. I'm going to print hi. Then I'm printing my name. So basically this is going to print hi ehab, then hello world without any spaces and without any new lines, like this. Here it is, hi ehab, hello world. Now, basically, we can add new lines using \n, or after the quotation, instead of inside the quotation we have \n, after the quotation we add a new insertion operator, then end line, and that is going to work. السلام عليكم. هاي. على فكرة أنا بقيت قاعد بسجل محاضرة فالتمست لما شفت اسم ماما. والله أنا قاعد بسجل محاضرة. بتصل عليكم بعد ما أخلص تسجيل المحاضرة دغري. ماشي؟ ماشي يلا بكلمكم إن شاء الله كمان يمكن 3 ساعات شي زي هيك. يلا سلام. And if you want to comment these, you can comment them like this. Even though we fixed one and added a new line. But if you want to comment these so just hello world is being printed, you can do this. And here is hello world. Okay, so the reasons you might want to do this is, one, comment out some code that has an error or errors, multiple ones, so you can test other parts of code. When you're ready, you can uncomment the code and continue working on it. Two, if you have written a code that compiles but does not work correctly, it's like having logical errors. It produces an output, but it's not the correct output. But you don't have some time to fix it, so you comment out the broken code and make sure that other parts of code is working until you have some time to fix the broken code. Three, to find the source of an error. Usually if we have a big program, if it's not producing the desired results or if it's crashing, it can be useful in some cases to disable parts of your code by commenting them and check, is this the part that is causing the problem? Comment the other. Is this the part? Or if you have this code, you don't know where exactly the source of the problem, then you may comment this part of your code and run this one. If that is working, then do the opposite. Comment this one and run this one. So you can do that in multiple ways, the way you find it appropriate based on your code. So if you comment out one or more lines of code and your program starts working as expected, then you would know, okay, odds are whatever you last commented out was parts of the problem. You can then investigate why those lines of code are causing the problem. 4, you want to replace one piece of code with another piece of code. Instead of just deleting the original code, you can comment it out and leave it there for reference until you are sure your new code works properly. Then, if that previous code becomes garbage, you can delete it. But keep it as a reference until you have a great working code. Once you're sure your new code is working, you can remove the old one, as I said. Okay, some new things. As you can see, we have include in here. Now, the include tells the preprocessor to bring in the contents of the specific file. And you can think of it as if it's asking the preprocessor to cut and paste the file listed. So iostream is a standard library. You can think of it as if it goes to the base libraries of C++ and looking for iostream, getting that file, copies what's inside and paste it in here. In place of the include iostream. You can think of it like this. The preprocessor, basically this is the processor that set up your project file with the object file and helps the compiler to do its thing. So the different types of includes, we have include and then followed by the double quotation, and we have the ones with the angle brackets. Now, you may have seen this type of files in 2017. We have a cdafx.h in double quotation, or the new compilers of Visual Studio 2017 that was cph.h. Now, the quoted form, the preprocessor search for the include file in this order. First, in the same directory as the file that contains the include statement. So, looks for it next to your .cpp file. If it's not, then in the directories of the currently open include files, and so on, until it goes up to the parent of the project. However, for the angle bracket form, the preprocessor searches for include files in this order, along the path that's specified by each compiler option after the compiler option /i. When compiling occurs on the command line along the path that are specified by the include environment variable. So in simple words, for the angle bracket form, it's basically one of the C++ community base or standard libraries, but not included in the same folder as the CPP file or the same project folder. That's it. So the namespaces, you have seen me a few moments ago adding using namespace std. So in a program, two things can't use the same name. So basically, I cannot have a library from Google with ggl and another library from Microsoft like ms, and both of them using the same name. For example, let's say we are using the variable or the function play. Now, using those colons, two colons, is to access that function. So use this function from this namespace and play. So they cannot use the same name if I choose play and I used both libraries. This is going to cause name collisions. So two things in different namespaces can have the same name. So I created a namespace ggl and another namespace ms. And if I want to use play from Google, I can use Google play. If I want to use from Microsoft, ms then play. It's like with phone numbers. Phone numbers, you can have two phone numbers in different states. What differentiates them is the area code. This one is, for example, in Washington, and this one is in different state, right? So let's talk about the main thing we want to talk about today. C++ streams. So streams allow data to be moved from one place to another. So the meaning of the word stream is basically a flow of something. Since we are talking about a flow of characters or data, then in C++, a stream is a flow of data from one place to another. So data that is placed in a stream will be moved from between the two places. Many pieces of data put into the stream in a certain order will be pulled out of that stream in exactly the same order. So when we say two places, for example, your program and the keyboard. So the keyboard puts into your program, and this is where we use cin. Your program and the console, and that is using cout. So going from the keyboard to program, we use cin. Going from the program to the console, that is using cout. Let's start with the cin. Cin input stream objects can be read and interrupt input from sequence of characters, right? So the standard object cin is an input stream object, which we use to read from the keyboard. It's often used to get the input from the user. And for this coder, when I say user, I mean keyboard. So cin is an object with the built-in abilities, like you can use the extraction operator with. You can use get line, ignore, p, create, and all these things. So the cout, on the other hand, is output stream object. So output stream objects can write sequences of characters and represent other kinds of data. It's used to output characters most often to this screen, the console. And also cout comes with some abilities like using the insertion operator, having put or write. So create a new project. And these tips to create a new project are next. You have seen them before in the Hello World program. And also I'm going to put those slides next. So you can open Visual Studio. The integrated development environment is basically a group of tools that are put together that makes you write code faster, investigate bugs more easily, make sure the code is written or can be read easily. So there are many different IDEs, Eclipse, NetBeans, and all these things, but we are going to use Visual Studio. So open Visual Studio, create a new project by clicking on create new project on this window, then choose console app, change the word from hello world to something else, then create, then voila, you have this one, right? So you are ready to start coding. Now you have a new project. Let me just make sure you understand what are those things. So we said that include tells the preprocessor to treat the content of the specific file as if they appear in the source program at the point where the directive appears. This is the directive. Include. The hashtag include is the directive. You can think of it as cut and paste the file listed. Now, what is iostream? iostream is a library from the base libraries or the standard libraries that allows us to use the cin and the cout. Now, there are many other libraries that can give you something, some things else, like many other things, like using math libraries to, for example, to find the square root of a number, and so on. So we are going also to use the string library. The string library is a library that allows us to use the string class. Now, the string class is a class that allows us to create a variable to store text. To store text. So first, make sure you add those. iStream, pretty much it's added already when you choose console app. And you need to add the include string. Add include string. Then you would add using namespace std. Why? Because you don't want whenever you use something from this the standard libraries to add std double colon. You just add it once at the very top, and then you can use things directly. Something like that. So if I would remove everything from here, I would always keep system pause because I want to see the window paused so I can get that. So here's iStream, and then I'm adding include string. I added include string. Now, if I don't have this one, we said we can use cin and cout from iStream. So if I would do like cout, just hi, it's not gonna be recognized because cout is not recognized. Where is cout? So if you added std double colon, then now it's recognized. If I do another like cout, then again it's not going to be recognized. Hi, again, it's not going to be recognized. You need to do the same thing, std double colon. But if you don't want to keep writing std double colon, std double colon, so just do that using namespace std. Using namespace std, and now all of them are recognized. Okay, so after you added those, we have to create a variable. Now, in computer programming, a variable is a storage location in a memory, or what we call a named memory location. A variable is named memory location. Named memory location. A storage location in memory that has associated with a name or identifier. In the program, you can access the data stored in the location by using the variable name. So we will spend full week on this later, but for now, we are just going to use it immediately. So you add the comment, a storage space for the name you input, and create a variable. To create a variable, you need a data type, which is going to be a string where we store text, and name. So a string is a data type that allows us to store text in memory, and name is the variable name we are going to choose. You can choose X, Y, whatever you want. So let me just add those. So removing those two things and add, let's say, storage variable to store names. Let me just get that. So string, I'm going to call it name. Now you can change that to call it X, whatever you want. But let me just stick with what you have in the slides. So name. Then go ahead and build your program. So since you are just beginning with the programming language, always start debugging building what you're creating. So build that. Is this statement causing any problems? Let me see if that succeed or not. So as you will see in here, we didn't do anything wrong, so yes, succeeded. That's good. So if succeeded, moving on to the next thing. But whenever you hit build, remember the process. Source code being compiled to create object code, then the object code being linked with the libraries we use like iostream and a string to create executable file. So here's the output, succeeded, everything is okay. Then we need to use the cin. Now the cin, remember that we said usually if you want from the keyboard to the program, you use cin, right? But where to put what I take from the keyboard in the program? Where? You need a variable, a storage location, right? The storage location is name. So take from the keyboard and put it, using those two angular brackets, put it in the name. So add the comments. So adding, for example, I'm gonna write my own comments. Storing the keyboard input into the name variable. I'm going to do cin, and remember with cin the arrows are going from the cin to the variable to name, putting things from cin to name, from the keyboard to name. Then build your program. Okay, go and build. Make sure that it succeed. We didn't do anything wrong. Did we do anything wrong? No, I don't think so. Okay, succeeded. Let's go to that. Then you can add these text. Now I want you to add these text in green. Why? Because I want you to get used to having comments in your program. It's always helping you to remember what you have been doing. Then for me, I will just say printing hello to name, and you add the three statements. I'm just going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to add one comment says printing hello to the username. Enjoy. So printing that cout, and when you print something, you put in the console. So you put in the cout. So we are using those angle bracket. So with the cin storing into the variable, you print something and put it in the console. So you're using this these arrows in this direction. So printing hello, and remember you need a space, right? Because you need a space between the hello and the username. And the username is going to be stored in name after we take it. So we print the username and we add a new line, end line. So let's run that. Now we should see a blinking cursor. We should see a blinking cursor. The blinking cursor means that, like this, means that, okay, everything is ready for you. As you can see in here, everything is ready to enter your name. So my name is Ehab. So hello Ehab, printed hello Ehab. So you can say like, what's up Ehab. So how many spaces you enter is gonna be showing on the console. So it's not gonna trim anything. So what's up, then few spaces, then my name when I enter my name. Here's the blinking cursor, so it's ready. Ehab, what's up, few spaces, Ehab. So, but usually actually, we ask the user to enter their name. So we print something like cout enter your name. And we add something like that and a space. So enter your name. As you can see, don't forget that each statement in C++ ends with semicolon. Ending with semicolon, the error is gone, everything is working perfectly right now, and you will get first enter your name, then the blinking cursor that waits for your name. And here it is. Enter your name, a blinking cursor, Ehab. Then that says, what's up, Ehab? Okay, now you tried that, and don't forget that we always have system pose. Now the way I do things is always having system pose. Always. That before I start coding, before I start doing string name or anything else, I do system pose. So always have system pose. Now, why do we have return? Because this is returning 0 errors if the compiler executed everything until returns. We say return 0, which means 0 errors. Because this is a function, the main is a function that promised to return integer. Promised to return integer. Integer is a whole number. 1, 2, 3, 0, minus 1, minus 2, and so on. So return 0 means, okay, I executed everything in here without any problem, because the starting point of every program in the whole world is the main. So it's starting executing from here. Anything in green or any comment is ignored. So coming to see here, oh, it's a comment, ignore this one and go to this one. Okay, create a variable named string, something like that. Here is the memory, and looks for an empty or unused location. So for example, this one. So it says, okay, name. Then cn. So ignoring this one, ignoring this one. Now I'm acting as a compiler. Ignoring this one because they are both our comment. Then cn name takes name from the user. Blinking cursor, assuming that you entered your name, whatever your name is. For example, X. So stored that in name. So now X is stored. Then cout hello name. So print hello and a space, printing on the console hello and a space. I'm assuming that we are going to have this as a space. Then your name. So it goes to the memory, looks for the name, what is stored inside X. So hello X. End line, just insert end line. So then system pose is going to pose the window and shows you the statement press any key to continue. Return 0 is going to end your program with 0 errors because we executed everything in here from the top to the bottom without any errors. And that's it. So we are on the program, you run it, you make sure that you understand when you hit the little green arrow, that means you do the whole build process and the loading process. So assuming your name is Robert, then that says hello Robert. So some key points. When programming, always start with a simple program. As we said, IDE is an integrated development environment. Here is the build process and the running program. When you hit the little green arrow, you're doing both the build process with all its steps and the running process with all its steps. So compile early and often. Usually get used to compiling when you do few statements. As a beginner right now, for each statement that you're doing, try to compile, build your project to make sure that you don't have anything wrong for now. And then keep adding statements and build the process again. So use include to indicate the libraries you will use. Using namespace std to avoid needing std colon for each cout and cin and all these things. Use cn with this direction from the keyboard to the variable to get input from the keyboard. Cout with this direction, putting something into the console. this cout represents the console. Okay, before you leave, upload the CPP file to the assignment page on Canvas. How do you get the assignment, the CPP file? Go there, right click on the tab, open containing folder, and this is your CPP file, this one. So you would go to, for example, modules. After going to modules, you would go to the assignment page, which is going to be in lab 2, and then in class lab 2 and upload it there. Go to in class lab 2 and upload it there. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. See you on the next one.